It doesn't seem like it should take a lot of work to keep Hawaii beautiful because we live in such a fantastic place. But one organization does focus on beautifying Hawaii and making it a more enjoyable place for us all to live. I want to welcome the folks from Outdoor Circle.
Thank you, Malia.
Thank you for coming today. I just wanted to know if you could each introduce yourself and talk a little bit about your reason for getting involved with Outdoor Circle, and then we'll really get into what the Outdoor Circle does and how people can get involved with your organization.
Great, I'll start. I'm a lifelong resident of Oahu, and in elementary school, I first became aware of the Outdoor Circle through the mascot, Mr. Maina. And many people who grew up in Hawaii probably remember Mr. Maina and his Auntie Litter, who was an Outdoor Circle volunteer who wore a big muumuu and pinned lots of rubbish and litter on her muumuu, and they came around to all the schools and taught us about proper stewardship and what it means to plant a tree that provides shade for the school, for the community. So it was from a very early age that I was quite interested in how does our beauty feed us, really. And when I went off to college, I started studying a little bit more about plants and botany, and came back to Hawaii 20 years ago, and I thought, well, I have some time to volunteer. What's the first thing I'd like to volunteer with? And it happened to be the Outdoor Circle, because I just had instilled in me from such a young age such a respect for the organization.
Great, thanks, Alexandra. Okay, how about you introduce yourself and talk a little bit about why you got involved?
I'm Joel Kurokawa. I'm the president of the Outdoor Circle, and I'm also a landscape architect and have a business, a landscape architecture, site planning, and urban design firm in Honolulu and on the Big Island. And I think landscape architecture and the Outdoor Circle's mission are, I think intertwined on that. And I really became acquainted with the organization through my professional work. Representing government clients and facilitating meetings with the Outdoor Circle. And so that's how I got involved with it. But I was born and raised in the islands. I was born on Oahu, but grew up on the Big Island where my father's family is from. And have a passion for maintaining the beauty of Hawaii and the environment of Hawaii. And through design.
Kau'i, how about you?
Like Alexandra, I grew up with the Outdoor Circle as being part of the family dinner table talk. My mother and my grandmother were involved. My grandmother especially, she was the president in 1938 and 1939, and they're hilarious old pictures of the silly fundraisers, the delightful fundraisers they used to have, dressing up like flowers, and putting on variety shows and things like that. But of course there's this more serious side to the Outdoor Circle. And I'm so proud of the legacy, especially with regard to the billboards, but also our magnificent trees. And when I moved over to Hawaii Island, I joined the Kona chapter there and took classes, and that gave me a whole new appreciation for the organization. I really needed to learn about composting, and it was really fun, and I met other people who were really into gardening in that community too. So there are chapters on every island, and it's a great resource.
Now, I was reading about your organization. I know about it, of course, from living here and growing up here. But one of the things I saw was it started in 1912. Is that right?
That's correct.
And now, is this the only Outdoor Circle in the whole country?
It's unique to Hawaii. And it was begun when 7 women got together, and they saw that the new town of Honolulu was not really that beautiful in terms of landscape, and so they literally brought banyan trees down from Manoa on horse-drawn carriage and old crocks of water to water them with. And they were certainly women who had means, and they took a trip together once to Paris. And in the Tuileries Garden, they saw the most beautiful fountain, and they said, well, we need one in Honolulu. So that is, in fact, today what Thomas Square Park is the inspiration and imagination of those 7 women who literally planted those banyan trees themselves.
That is a beautiful park.
Yeah.
Except for the Occupy people. We won't get into that.
Yeah. And, you know, with the city and a number of other groups, we are really working at a plan to return that park to its splendor.
It is really beautiful, and it's nice to have that kind of right across from the Blaisdell, right across from the Academy of Arts and the Academy of Arts Art Center. So it's a fantastic place for people to go.
It's a great open space, and that is one of the things that the Outdoor Circle has championed for a little over 100 years. We're rounding into our second 100 year now. And the open space concept has been really important to the Outdoor Circle and has motivated us to do a number of different projects. Another open space that we have been looking at working on better with the city is the Mother Waldron Park.
Yes, that's right down, for people that don't know, down in kind of Kaka'ako area.
That's right.
I used to work near there when I worked at Pacific Business News many years ago. And I guess that's a nice park where a lot of kids go. There's play equipment and so on. But you're right. There are some trees, but it could definitely use some sprucing up.
Yeah, it's a historic park, and you know, with the redevelopment of Kaka'ako, and there's a lot of activity going on down there right now, and in the years ahead. You know, so I think it's in the city's interest to really take a look at how we can restore that park. And so the Outdoor Circle is, you know, working on that, and will, you know, continue to explore the opportunities there, both with the city and possibly with some of the private development that interests there too as well.
Right, because Kaka'ako is getting more and more built up, so definitely open space will be much more appreciated as more and more buildings go up around there.
Yeah, you know, I'll just use Kaka'ako as a segue to mention another effort. The Outdoor Circle has been involved in the planning of an event that will be coming up in Kaka'ako called Heli'an Kaka'ako, which is several streets, about a mile and a half of streets will be closed down on Mother's Day, May 12th, for a Ciclovia, which is an event that started in Bogota, where, you know, streets are closed down for bicycling and pedestrians for basically recreational purposes, and it's happening all over the United States and across the world, really, and where communities are taking back their streets for recreational purposes. This is the second Ciclovia in Hawaii. The first one happened last year in Kailua at a very small scale, and so this one will be larger, and something new to the Ciclovia will be a complete streets demonstration on Cook Street, where 3 blocks of Cook Street will not be completely closed down, but automobile traffic will still be allowed. But Complete Streets is a urban design planning concept that addresses all modes of transportation, not only the automobile, but pedestrian use, bicycle use, and it includes green infrastructure, trees and landscaping as well, not necessarily as beautification, but as green infrastructure elements that will help prevent stormwater pollution caused by stormwater runoff, and the filtering of the stormwater through these what we call rain gardens or planting areas, bioswales, are all inclusive of that. So it's a very holistic approach to planning and designing of a city street.
Now, I've heard of that possibly in reference to trying to clean up the Alawai, where they were talking at one point about planting some water gardens or rain gardens, as you call them, maybe.
Yeah, there's, you know, I think a movement, a very large movement that's happening and looking at natural systems and really mimicking natural systems in ways to clean our water, our urban environment. You know, paved surfaces prevent water from percolating back into the ground to recharge the aquifers which we rely on for fresh water, for drinking water. And so the idea of complete streets is to skinny the street, to really try to leave as much area within the street right-of-way in a landscape condition, in a soft pavement rather than, or non-paved area, where you can plant trees and plants to act not just for beautification, but to provide shade. The trees will also collect some of the rain water and store it within its canopy, and which will prevent a certain amount of water instead of falling onto the pavement and running into our sewer system and overtaxing our sewer systems when there's a storm. It's a stormwater management mechanism, and so trees provide a benefit to the urban environment by storing stormwater. And then the roots in the ground level, in the soil, the root systems and with other plants also absorb water. So the idea is, rather than running the water along our curbs directly into a storm drain, the water will first fill up a basin within the street, along, between the sidewalk and the travel lane, which is oftentimes called a bulb out, but to design it as a rain garden, a depression in the land with planting and a tree possibly, but the water will drain into the ground. And any overflow, if a storm is a large storm, you'll still have the catch basin or a drain where the water will flow into, but that's just an overflow. So the smaller storms, the 10 years, up to a 10-year storm, can be all prevented from going directly into the storm sewer system, and it'll go back into the ground.
You don't even have to make any new holes because we have so many potholes. Then you can just expand one of those, put a rain garden in our pothole.
Yeah.
Hey,
that would help out.
Very busy fixing the streets. They're very busy.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
Well, now, one of your biggest projects, besides rain gardens and things like that, is you do plant trees and you do help to save trees.
Exactly, and the whole idea about trees adding to the health of the community, but it's not just plant a tree, any tree. The Outer Circle has many programs that they have done in the past to help train people how to plant the most appropriate tree in the right place. But the Outer Circle is not just about trees in urban areas either, although we have a good number of our branches on this island, but we are a statewide organization. We have 9 chapters statewide. We prefer to call them branches because they're a part of the Great Tree, and altogether these branches and the membership, that's about 4,000 statewide, create this canopy of volunteerism that really is the engine that drives our organization.
I'm very familiar with the Kailua Outdoor Circle, of course, because I get roped into helping set up the event every year, the art show.
The Lani Kailua Outdoor Circle is what I grew up into and am still a member of, and it is celebrating its 65th year with a town party this coming Sunday.
Yep.
And it is really a model branch for all of our state branches. We don't have branches on Molokai or on Lanai, but we have branches on all the other islands that really do a lot of advocacy, education, preservation. And when it comes to trees, we have statewide interest in protecting the magnificent, or what we call the exceptional trees, which the Outdoor Circle worked with the city some decades ago to create the Exceptional Tree Act. So it's a number of these exceptional trees that are reaching the end of their lifeline. They may have been planted by our foremothers, Kauai's grandmother and whatnot, but they're 100 years old and they're at the end of their lifeline. So we are looking forward to working with the city on finding the right tree to replant. And our tree expert here, Joel, has some information that he wants to share with the public, all of you watching, about the importance of the canopy of trees.
Yeah, so trees are not just something that will beautify the environment. They actually have ecosystem, they provide ecosystem services or benefits that are very important to the health of the urban environment and the environment as a whole. We talk about the canopy of the tree, the leaves and the structure there above the ground. it filters air pollution in the air by kind of collecting a lot of the particulates. It also stores, as I mentioned before, rainwater before it falls to the ground, allowing it to evaporate back into the system. So basically, completing the water cycle. That which falls to the ground, if it's soft, soil, can then percolate back through the roots. The roots help, and as well as other plants and the micro, biological activity that happens in the soil all help to filter that water, to cleanse the water as it goes back down into the aquifer. And so that cycle is really important. And cities, because of our need for circulation, for transportation, for businesses, oftentimes it's paved. And so, we've evolved to the point where we can engineer anything. We can solve a lot of problems through engineering. And the whole idea of trees and green infrastructure is to take a step back and look at how nature deals with pollution, with storm water management. And I think the term is called biomimicry, looking at for answers from things that occur naturally in nature. And oftentimes they're more cost effective, they're beautiful, and we can harness that potential by paying attention to the trees. And to go back to, why is it important to preserve or save old trees? And one of it is the larger the canopy, the greater the environmental benefit of it. So the shade, the canopy that we have. And so, we need to have trees in the urban environment, and we need to look at trees. I think one thing that I'd like to focus on, for the Outdoor Circle to focus on, is to work with our city leaders, the government leaders, to recognize that trees are not just beautification, something that is nice to have after everything else is put in infrastructure, but trees and landscape as green infrastructure, that it's like a utility, like our power system, our electrical power system, the light systems on streets, electrical power, gas service. No one would question the need for those things. And we need to get to the point, especially within government, to recognize that we cannot do without trees. And especially in the urban environment, the critical role that it plays.
Well, I know really in every environment, excuse me, for instance, the Waimea Outdoor Circle was able to work with the township to create a nature park, which the volunteers are actively keeping up, and it is used by everybody in the town of Waimea. The Kona Outdoor Circle, though there are not many trees, there is a Seymour Botanical Park that was put together in honor of one of the Kona Outdoor Circle's earlier members, who was a great gardener. And this park is just like a community garden now. People can go and learn a lot about the plants in the area.
Well, you wouldn't think trees could be controversial. But certainly in Hawaii Kai and Aina Haina they are, because the city came down under the last administration and took down, or said they were going to take down, a lot of trees. I know in my front yard, my beautiful gold tree that was 50 years old was chopped to the ground because they said it was too big for that spot. And they replanted it with, replanted a little tiny tree, and I know, and it actually happened all along our street, so there's very few gold trees left. And they're, of course, spectacular trees. There were the beautiful yellow flowers that we see. And right, exactly. Right about now in the spring. So I know, and that happened all through Hawaii Kai and Aina Haina, and I know there was a controversy over what they're going to replace them with, and the fact that there wasn't good communication. So you do play an important role in terms of helping to get, in fact, I called the Outdoor Circle to help me get some dialogue going with the city about their process and how they were so, you come home and you find your tree cut to the ground that you've been watering and fertilizing for years.
Well, one of the problems with large trees in the street, or as street trees, is that the roots grow beyond the planting area that it has and basically undermine the pavement, and that's some of the problems that the city folks have to repair, and why they may want to take out a large tree that may be inappropriate to that area. But one of the things that the Outdoor Circle is working on and will be working on with the city is to re-look at and update its street tree planting detail. Currently, in a street or on a street or on the side, the planting area on the sidewalk, the standard is a 4x4 hole in the ground, basically a planting pit where you put the tree in. If you look at King Street, we have all these beautiful shower trees lining it, but what's happening to the pavement is buckling, and it's because we're planting trees in areas and expecting the roots to stay in that small hole, which they don't. They'll spread out. The purpose of the roots of a tree are to hold up the canopy, to support anchor the canopy so that it doesn't fall down in a storm. And so there are ways, and I mentioned that, you know, the benefit of the tree is, the greater benefit is in the size of the canopy. So if you plant a small tree, you have less of a benefit. So we want to encourage the city to plant large trees. How do we do that without destroying the pavement and the curbs and the sidewalks and maintaining and keeping it safe? Is that we need to focus on ways to allow the roots to grow underneath the pavement, and there are ways to do that. It may cost a little bit more money to plant a tree, but like our light poles, we wouldn't say, well, it's too expensive, we can't afford it. It's something that you have to do. Right?
Well, it would probably save money in the long run because you wouldn't have to keep replacing the sidewalk.
Exactly.
You wouldn't have lawsuits when people trip or get hurt and all that. So, and you wouldn't have to keep replacing the trees every so many years.
And that's why, you know, as a designer, there's good design that we can accommodate all these things. It takes a little bit more coordination, but in the long term, it's a benefit.
Now, Kau'i, I want you to share with us some of your favorite projects that you've done with the Outdoor Circle, or what do you think is most important?
Oh gosh, hard to pick one, but what I love about it is it's an easy way. We all love trees. I mean, we all love plants, and we all love Hawaii. So it's an easy way to kind of learn about stewardship and learn about participating in community life, volunteering. It's not usually controversial. But we're not. The Outdoor Circle isn't afraid to, you know, step up to the plate when it needs it, and they're fun things. And the leadership of the Outdoor Circle, which I am not one of, I'm just a layperson, has really done a great job with partnering with community groups and bringing whole groups in. If it's from, you know, the women in the correctional facility or school groups or whatever, there's been a lot of partnership, and I think that combined with nature is a really important thing. Anything that brings us our awareness, our attention to taking care of the Aina is a really good thing. So that's, you know, just it's a feel-good thing for sure, but it's something that when you go by, like in Kailua, where there's been all that beautiful planting done, you feel a sense of pride and ownership, and it'll last for years.
It's true. Yeah, I know in Kailua, trees are, of course, the big issue, and we have the ironwoods that are, unfortunately, some of them are getting cut down because of the erosion over there. The way the water's been, I think, directed has taken away some of the sand there. Yeah. But replanting, that's the good positive thing to take up. Now, what are some of the other programs that you wanted to promote, you want to tell people about that they might want to get involved in?
Oh, golly.
You have the Complete Streets program. We didn't talk about that,
Yeah,
right?
the Complete Streets program. And we are having, like Joel said, Mother's Day. We will be having a booth at Waldron Park, and we'll hope to be talking to people a lot about awareness of open space and beautifying the areas. But, you know, the Outdoor Circle's motto has never really changed. It's always been keeping Hawaii clean, green, and beautiful. But our definition of what's clean, green, and beautiful does change a bit with the times, and I find it interesting to note that when it began 100 years ago, the founders were quite concerned with the water issue because, of course, at that time Honolulu was a dry plain, and I find it quite interesting that we're still in that position of being very concerned about water and having enough water to do all the beautifying that we would like to see in Hawaii. So it has given us opportunity to learn a lot more about xeriscaping and being able to plant to draw the water from the environment, from the atmosphere, but planting appropriately.
Now, we wanted to have people be able to find out more about your organization, so who can tell me how they can do that? Is there a website?
Very easy. There's a Facebook page too, the Outdoor Circle Facebook page, and you can write to us anytime at info@theoutdoorcircle.org.
And is it outdoorcircle.org?
Yes.
It is, right?
Theoutdoorcircle.org.
Now, how do people decide if we want to join a local chapter or the head chapter? Do they do both? How do they get involved?
One can be a member at large, though we would love to see that at-large group become a a Honolulu branch, because we have, since the inception of the Outdoor Circle, grown many branches, well, 9 to be exact. So it would be really great if we could take the at-large membership, which covers most of Honolulu, and have it become its own branch. But one can join at large, one can join a branch in their area. Please come to our Facebook page and see the different branches and areas and projects that they're doing. Each branch does function pretty much as its own Outdoor Circle organization, although it's a part of the statewide system. We have similar goals, but we all have our own individual projects. And one of the goals that we all worked on as a state only recently was getting through the PLDC repeal.
Public Land Development Corporation, for people that don't know, right?
And yes, it was a statewide action and something that we felt very compelled to answer to the Outdoor Circle statewide. But we also have our Exceptional Trees campaign coming up, and that will be a statewide.
Well, we're already out of time, and I appreciate you coming on, and people can get more information on your website, and certainly hope they do get involved with your organization. It's very important, and I know I will commit to getting involved as well. Thank you for coming on today.
Thank you.
This has been News Behind the News. Aloha.